Hello, everyone. Phil Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today is Thursday, the 26th of January, 2023. Click on the subscribe button down here in the below me to subscribe to future episodes, and also that notification bell in the far upper right. If you click that, you'll be notified when the new episodes are released, and your greatest rival is going to fall flat on his face. And whatever you've got, business or romance or whatever, he's going to fall flat on his face if you click that bell. Okay, today's topic is consecration of the house. When Civil War historians claimed that the South generally controlled all three branches of the antebellum federal government, they overlooked that the North controlled the House of Representatives from the 1789 beginning of the Republic, and the Senate was at best split 50-50 with the Yankees until the Yankees actually got the edge in 1850 when California was admitted as a free state and there was no corresponding southern state admitted at the same time. Afterwards, you got Oregon and then Minnesota, I believe, in the 50s. So the balance of power in the Senate was definitely swinging their way. And as I point out, in the House, because of the greater population in the North, the South never had control of the House of Representatives. Now, as today's news headlines remind us, the House is uniquely empowered to originate revenue bills. And that's why Treasury Secretary Yellen has her underwear all twisted up in a knot. She knows that House Republicans want to stop the inflationary spending that has subsidized COVID relief crooks and critical race theory educators and given us this wild inflation. Now, back in 1846, one Northern congressman, David Wilmot, used that power existing in the House to indirectly promote a personal or a separate agenda. His so-called Wilmot Proviso stipulated that slaves would not be allowed in any of the territories acquired as a result of the Mexican War. The proviso passed in the House but failed in the Senate. Furthermore, Wilmot was not merely trying to stop the spread of slavery in the territories, he wanted to stop the spread of blacks. As Wilmot himself put it, quote, "The Negro race already occupy enough of this fair continent. I would preserve for free white labor a fair country where the sons of toil of my own race and color can live without the disgrace which association with Negro slavery brings upon free labor," close quote. That was in 1846, and the war he was referring to there was the Mexican War, not the Civil War. 8 years later, in 1854, future President Abraham Lincoln said, quote, "The whole nation is interested that the best use shall be made of these Western territories." And what he's referring to is the territories that were acquired after the Mexican War ended and the United States took possession of California and Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico and other lands up there. So anyway, in 1854, future President Abraham Lincoln said, quote, "The whole nation is interested that the best use shall be made of these Western territories. We want them for the homes of free white people. And this they cannot be if slavery is planted among them." Okay, so what you can see there is that Northerners really were anti-black more than they were anti-slavery. Now, here's the proof in the pudding. Of the 22 states that entered the United States after Texas in 1845, and there's only 50 states. So the 22 that came in after Texas in 1845, except for the two border states of Oklahoma and West Virginia, the remaining 20 of the 22 that came into the United States after Texas entered the Union with about 1% or less of their population being black. So they got what they wanted. Okay, what they really wanted in the end was not to end slavery per se or to constrain slavery. They wanted to quarantine blacks in the South. And if you, in fact, if you look at the statistics from the Census Bureau, 50 years after the war had ended, 90% of blacks still lived in the South. Okay, let's move ahead a little bit here. This book, Lee's Lost Dispatch and Other Controversies, I was looking through my sales figures. This book is underrated compared to the other books that I've done based upon the sales. People seem to think that it's strictly about Lee's Lost Dispatch at the Battle of Sharpsburg, but it has other controversies in there too. And two of them are significant. One is the adoption of breech loading rifles and carbines by the Union. They were kind of slow to do that. And but the weapons were clearly far superior in terms of fighting battles. And it was one of the great lost opportunities for the North, because if the breech loaders that had been available for 13 or 14 years before the war started had been available to the Army in the first year of the Civil War, that war would have ended within a year. At least that's what E. Porter Alexander opined. And he was he was a Confederate general who, at the Battle of Gettysburg, was the officer who directed the Confederate artillery in prelude to Pickett's charge against Seminary Ridge or Cemetery Ridge. So one of the things that is in this book of Lee's Lost Dispatch is an analysis of what happened in the North that held back the deployment of superior firearms, repeating firearms, and breech loading firearms in the Union Army. This is my novel that's based upon that. This is my latest book, and it's a novel, Firepower. What I've done is I've connected the dots of the actual historical events in this book to try and solve the riddle. And that's what this novel does. So I would, if you're interested in the topic, I think you'll find both of them to be helpful. So if, some people say, well, I don't like to read novels. Well, if you want to get the facts on which I based it, a lot of it is in here. So that's my topic for today. That's my talk for today. I want to thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.